Hello and welcome to Obehi podcast. I'm your host, Obehi A14, and I strongly believe that everyone has a story to share. Now let's get started into this episode.
My name is Enabulele Benson from Benin City, Nigeria, and I school in Nigeria too. And after some time working in Nigeria, I feel that life was not all that too sweet or too good because of the economic crisis. I decided to make my way to Europe, and the first place I've ever been, and which I see on today, is Italy. And I've long been in Verona since I came, and I'm still in Verona. But when I came at the initial stage, it was not an easy task. First and foremost, on the document issue and accommodation. And it is obvious that when you are here, if you have no document, you cannot work in any of the government offices or companies. So we're hustling here and there to get our daily living. So that's when we came really.
When exactly, do you remember the date, the month, the year that you came exactly?
Okay, actually I came here June 1991. But the date, that's 7th or 9th, I cannot remember. I entered Italy June 1991. And when I stopped in Milano, but not Malpensa, Veneto, I took a train straight to Rome to meet one of my cousins. So after some time, a week there, I returned back to Verona.
For me now, when I came to Italy, I came here about 8 years ago. When I came, I saw other Africans here. So for me to get a house, it was easy for me because there are other Nigerians here where I stayed in the room for a long period before I could even get my house now. When you people came at that period, where did you stay? What was actually the situation of housing?
Actually, to me, it was difficult. It was not that too difficult because I have a junior brother who came before me. So, and when I came, I stayed with him. Though the apartment was filled up with other people, we were about 10 in an apartment, so I mixed up with them. The problem of accommodation, though it was tight, but it was not that too difficult for me.
So what were you people doing to survive?
I said we were hustling, selling things here and there for people, like goods, all these stockings and other little petty things for the Italians, and they were still helping us too.
What kind of relationship was really existing among the African that were here, among you then, and the local people? I mean, what kind of social life was really going on? Because here today, there is a big difference. For example, I will make a reference with your son. Your son today, he doesn't have any problem with associating with the other Italian because he was born here. Practically, he went to school here. So everything. So in your case, how was it?
Actually, regard to that issue of association with the people we come to meet, like the Italians and the other tribes, it was a little difficult because first and foremost, the language issue, the language barrier, and actually, we were not working with them. We were only selling to some of the old men and women. So it was difficult because we do not understand their language very well, and we do not interact much with them. So it is difficult to actually associate very well compared to this time around, where after a long time we are working with most of them, and the language issue is a little okay now. Like my son, the experience I had when I came was a little hard. But like himself, what he normally says is that because they are schooling together, they don't look themselves to be one. So in spite of the color differences, since they are schooling together, they associate together, it doesn't have much difficulty. Said because The problem we had was that the language issue and we're not working together, and it's difficult before we can associate. So, like he said he has no problem with them, and he prefer having Italians friendship than with the black race.
And why is that? Have you ever asked him?
And he said he preferred their life, the way they are living. So, and it's more used to their culture than our African culture.
You left Africa in about
91.
1991, okay. With the hope of coming to Europe, making life, and turning back to Africa.
Yeah.
Now you are still here. What is your dream of returning back to Africa?
My dream is that one day I will go back, because there's nothing like home, one, and it's not good to, I don't want to be buried, to die here and be buried here. I want to return back home.
You see, this question I've asked it many times, in the sense that if we really want to be sincere about it, so then it is difficult for up to 70% of Africa that left Africa to return home. If we really want to be sincere about it.
No, sincerity in respect to that area is true. Because definitely most people are not finding it difficult to go back home. Actually, on age issue, because most of them, when they go back, unless they are going back with sufficient weight, or they have made something good of their travel, because first and foremost, they are not going to secure a job in Africa because of their age. Secondly, if they don't have much to rely on when they get back, so it is going to be difficult to settle down. And thirdly, the children they brought here and the children they born here, no one is prepared to go back with them. So those are some of the reasons behind why most of them cannot go back home. That is my personal view about the issue.
Okay, now you are an African man. You were born in Benin City, Nigeria, and you grew up there. Practically, you know the culture, you know the relationship between a father and a son. I mean, parents and children. How do you feel when you want to tell your child, hey, today we're going back to Africa, we're going back to Nigeria, and your son tells you he's not going? I want you to explain to me what you're going to have in your mind.
Actually, if you tell your son, maybe at the age of below 18, let's go back home, he might prefer to say, okay. But if it's above 18 with the present ways of life, and it has arrived at a maturity age, he can start his life anywhere he wants to do. But I feel bad, but there's nothing I can do. He has to start his life maybe at the age of 18 to 20.
Tell me a little about the kind of comparison you would make when you came in 1991 and today 2012. Do you see any change in the relationship between African and the Italian that are here in Verona?
Actually, there's a big change, because as at the time I came, we don't do things in common as it is now, because there's a lot of association, a lot of working together, going to one office or the other, interacting with them, was not there as at that time. But now, with the exposure and this idea of working together, bring a big difference between the Italians and the Africans.
People say that when people live together, when they talk together, when they associate together, they also have problems together. Sometimes maybe they solve the problem together, so that they're not able to solve the problem.
Yes.
Now that you, like many other Africans, live here in Verona, and now you have the chance to interact with Veronese,
Yes.
there is probably a problem that you do have. I don't know if you have a solution to them or whatever. What kind of problem do you have with the Italians?
Actually, as I earlier said, definitely I understand part of their language, not all, because I didn't school here. So like I only interact, to write is difficult. Expression is still a little different, a little problem among with Africans and the Italians, especially those who do not speak or write the language very well, understand the language very well. It's still a problem.
What of in the area of work? Assuming, because now if your area of work, they just call you to work that you are working today, you know what it means.
In our working place, we are not rated with the same way, not in terms of salary, in terms of maybe position. We are not given the same opportunity as the owner of the country. You see somebody employed today because he's school here and one thing or the other, and they place in a better position more than you because your certificate is not that to value here, and the actual and the expression. So you find it that somebody employed before you will be placed to command you one day, which is not that too good.
Okay, now let's see how the future look like. Where do you see the future of us African living in Verona in, let's say, in about 20, 40 years from now?
Yeah, actually, if the situation, the economic situation remains as it is now, or if there's no improvement for now, I think life is going to be very difficult for us in the near future. We're Africans because our parents are not here, and we have to do everything on our own to secure our life. But if the economy improves, I think the future will be a little brighter. If it does not improve, compared to how it is now, I think we are going to face a lot of problems here in this country.
If you enjoy this podcast, make sure you subscribe so you never miss any of our future episodes. Rate and review Obehi podcast and share with your friends who might need it. I remain Obehi Ewanfo. Thank you so much for listening, and talk to you in the next episode.